Something I want to kind of quickly hit on, I saw in the Bible. I don't normally do these kind of videos, but my dishwasher is running there in the background. What's happening to our country, whether it's the USA, Europe, or wherever. What's going on with the environment? Big concern. We've got bad leaders, regardless of where you live. We've got riots everywhere, inflation, confusion, perversion, crime out of control, both on the streets and amongst our local and national leaders. What's up with all this craziness that's going on? Well, I was going through Isaiah chapter 24. Pretty interesting. It says, and of course, I'm not going to get all into the specifics of, Israel and the tribulation and things like that. But a lot of this will apply to where you live, okay? The land, okay? The land shall be utterly emptied and utterly spoiled, for the Lord hath spoken this word. The earth, that's not just Israel, the earth mourneth and fadeth away. The world languisheth and fadeth away. The haughty people of the earth do languish. The earth also is defiled. There's your environment. The earth is defiled under the inhabitants thereof. So it's the inhabitants that defile it, not because they're throwing stuff in the ocean. The Bible tells you what's going on. Because they have transgressed the laws, changed the ordinances, change the ordinance, singular, broken the everlasting covenant. Therefore hath the curse devoured the earth, and they that dwell therein are desolate. Therefore the inhabitants of the earth are burned, and few men left. Now, of course, some of this is going into tribulation applications, but this will apply. Now, it's talking about the laws. It says, what have men done? They transgressed the laws. Well, what are those laws? Well, the things that are written in the Bible. And how do men treat the Bible? How do men treat the words that are written in the Bible? They throw it away, don't they? They ignore it. In fact, even born-again Christians, that King James, too archaic. We don't want the words of God. We want our own words. And then they ignore the words of God. So the laws that God has made through his book has been thrown away. And then it says, the ordinance. Notice the wording of the King James Bible here. Let me get my finger over here. The wording of the King James Bible is so important. If they change that word there, you might not find the cross-reference. The ordinance. I'm going to go to, get some sticky notes in here so I can do this quickly. The ordinance, Leviticus chapter 18, 666. Look at this. The Lord spake unto Moses, saying, speak unto the children of Israel, and saying to them, I am the Lord your God, after the doings of the land of Egypt, wherein ye dwelt, ye shall not do, and after the doings of the land of Canaan, whither I bring you, ye shall not do, neither shall ye walk in their ordinances. Ye shall do my judgments, keep mine ordinances, to walk therein. I am the Lord your God. Then he goes into the ordinances, and it's all on this perversion, sexual perversion, all the stuff you're basically seeing in Hollywood, seeing that's actually protected by law now, where you're the criminal if you point them out and say you're doing wrong. The Lord said, my ordinances, and then he lists a bunch of stuff. Here's your adultery. Moreover, thou shalt not lie carnally with thy neighbor's wife, to defile thyself with her. Here's some false religion. And thou shalt not let any of thy seed pass through the fire to Molech, neither shalt thou profane the name of thy God. I am the Lord. Here you go. Verse 22. Thou shalt not lie with mankind as with womankind. It is abomination. Now look at this context here. Defile not yourselves with any of these things, for in all these the nations are defiled, which I cast out before you. The land The land is defiled. So you allow this stuff to go on? Oh, well, I don't care what goes on. As long as they're in their bedroom and I don't have to see it, I'm not going to judge. What they do is their own business. No. They're going to screw up your nation. They're going to screw up your environment. They're going to screw up your land. Your country is going to get screwed up because of what they're doing in secret. But that's Bible. And, Americans, Europeans, whoever, they don't pay attention to this. And then to go back, here we go. He mentions they've broken the everlasting covenant. This is the other thing that God mentions for why things are so screwed up and why the world and the country that you live in is an absolute disaster. They've messed with the everlasting covenant. Now that's Genesis 17. It's actually several places, but there's the first reference. Genesis 17, God speaking to Abram. And I will establish my covenant between me and thee, Abram, and thy seed. That goes to Isaac, that goes to Jacob, that goes to the children of Jacob and to their seed. It's not a spiritual Jew or any of this other crap. It's the seed of Abram through Isaac and through Jacob, the 12 tribes of Israel. So he says, I'm going to establish my covenant between me and thee and thy seed after thee and their generations for an everlasting covenant. It doesn't go away. Even if they're dispersed for 2,000 years and God divorces them for a time period, all that, it's everlasting. Don't you have everlasting life? I have everlasting life. Have you screwed up and should have lost it? I know I have. But I still have, quote, everlasting life, and so do you. They have an everlasting covenant, regardless of whether they screwed up or not. It's everlasting. I'll keep reading. To be a God unto thee and to thy seed after thee, and I will give unto thee and to thy seed after thee the land. He's talking about Israel. Wherein thou art a stranger, all the land of Canaan for an everlasting possession. Okay? Now what's the world done? Now maybe my map over here isn't exact. I did this through study. But guess what? All of Jordan belongs to Israel, belongs to that Jew. Half of Saudi Arabia belongs to that Jew. Half of Iraq. Gee, I wonder why we've been over there fighting. Half of Syria. Gee, I wonder why we just bombed Syria and now we're in a mess over there again. All this stuff that we're reaping and Britain, sunset on the British Empire, and they've been messed up with this stuff going on in Iraq and whatnot as well. And now they're been overtaken by the Muslims. It's because we've messed with the everlasting covenant, stolen the land from the Jew. And I'm not just going to keep going here. I said this is going to be quick, and we're almost at 9 minutes. But you wonder what the craziness that's going on in the world today, the inflation, even losing Donald Trump as our president and winding up with this bumbling, stumbling idiot that is probably on drugs and senile. What's that all about? Well, guess what? Dear Donald Trump messed with the everlasting covenant. And right after he did that, I told people Trump probably just cost himself the election. Because you don't mess with Israel. You don't mess with that land and get away with it. So now we got Biden and we've got Camel Harris for president, vice president, and all the rest of the mess and the riots that are still going on in Portland, where I'm at. Still going on. Crazy. It all goes back to the Bible, folks. And the Bible explains it in very clear language, including the environmental problems. If there is global warming, and I don't know if there is or not, probably not, but if there is, it goes back to the Bible. Get right with the Bible, get right with God, and guess what? Global warming will stop. All right, well, I'll stop preaching, but I wanted to share that with you guys.